Hi everyone, I'm Shalene and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following the Lentor story, you know that this will now be the 7th launch in the Lentor Township. And every single time a new project comes out, I get the same question: isn't there an oversupply of launches in this area? After all, let's look at the previous launches. First, we had Lentor Modern, the first launch in this area and also the first mixed development in the area that is right above the MRT and mall. Then you have Hillock Green, Lentor Hills, Lentoria and Lentor Mansion, which was the first harmonized project there, after which we had Lentor Central, and now finally we have Lentor Gardens Residences, also known as LG7. So on top of that, there's also another site that was sold not too long ago at a record land price for this area of 1278 PSF per plot ratio. Now that's a 40% jump from the Lentor Gardens land parcel, which was acquired at just 920 PSF PPR. This makes it one of the lowest land bids in the entire Lentor area. And many people say that, it's a low land bid, doesn't mean the developer will launch it at a low price. But the guide prices have already been released and it's going to start at 2050 PSF per plot ratio. Of course, that's the starting off prices, and I think it will go to an average of 2003, hitting 2005, 2006 PSF, right? But I do think that it's a reasonable starting price considering that the next plot of land is likely going to launch at 2700 PSF around there next year. So more importantly, I'll break down the prices that we expect across the different unit types and also what are the walk-away prices for different unit types, because even though it's a good launch price doesn't mean that everyone will walk away with a good deal in this project. Now, when it comes to the issue of oversupply in Lentor, we can't deny that there are thousands of units, I think about 4,000 units over here in this township. And whenever I'm evaluating a launch that has a huge supply pipeline, these are two things that I find extremely important, and I've shared before in my previous River Valley video. Firstly, buy one of the best layouts across the entire area. Secondly, make sure that you're entering at a good price, okay? Because your entry price really matters. When it comes to a time when you sell, you're not just competing within the development, you're also competing with other transacted prices in the area. So if you own the best layout and you entered at one of the better entry prices, your unit will always be in a safer position. You protect your downside risk. If your unit cannot make money, then everyone else in Lentor will also not make money. So in today's video, I'll just do a quick overview of Lentor Garden Residences, basic project details, and analyze it using my VEP framework, value, entry price, as well as product. But the main focus today will be on which layouts are the best in the area, which layouts in Lentor Garden we should go for, and at what price should you walk away and simply just wait for the next new launch, which is the most exciting one, Thomson Reserve. Let me just quickly run through the project details because most of you would have gotten the e-brochure already. Right, Lentor Gardens is developed by Kingsford. It's the same developer as you have Chuan Park, Normanton Park, OMG, One Marina Gardens and the likes. You're looking at a total of 499 units with actually 3 strata terraces and 3 shops. Okay, there's also an early childhood development center there. There'll be 3 blocks of 16 stories as well as 1 block of 8 stories. This will be sitting on a land size of around 220,000 square feet. Plot is actually just right beside Lentor Mansion, which might seem a little bit far from the MRT, but in future you'll be able to cut through Hillock Park, so I don't think it'll be much of an issue. And I also do believe there might be a shuttle bus to Lentor Modern for the first year. There are 402 car park lots, so that is around 80% of the units here. Pretty standard for this area. In terms of site plan and design, I think it doesn't lose out to its competitors in the area. In fact, I think aesthetically it's one of the nicer looking ones here. Of course, my personal favorite will be Lentor Mansion, but let's not divert our attention elsewhere. With this land size, you expect full condo facilities. You got a huge lagoon pool, tennis court, you have a gym, function room. The views are pretty good too. You have landed facing views on one side. Then you also have some of the units that are facing the future Hillock Park. You have some units that have unblocked landed views as well as some that are facing the other Lentor developments. There's a sky view deck as well, so even if you buy the lower floors, you can still enjoy some nice views lah. Now, a lot of buyers believe, or maybe a lot of agents sell the idea of first mover advantage. But to me, the real first mover isn't the one who bought first, but the one who entered at the best price. So take Lentor Modern for example. It was the first mixed development in Lentor, but buyers also paid a premium for it being a mixed development. So being the first doesn't automatically mean you get the best deal. I think it would rather be the 7th buyer entering at a good price than the first buyer entering at a slightly higher price. So from a value perspective, I actually find Lentor Gardens more interesting than buyers might think because of how low the land cost is. Today's video, the focus will be on which are the best layouts in Lentor, how much Lentor Modern has already transacted at in terms of the subsale units, and what is a safe entry price for Lentor Gardens. First of all, there's no 2-bed 1-bath here at Lentor Gardens, which is great. Let's not waste time. These are the 2-bed 2-bath layout. Right? If you can go for the unit with enclosable kitchen, the 6, 7, 8 square feet unit, the open concept kitchen type has increasingly become less popular. I think the one with the tuck-in enclosable kitchen feels more livable, feels more like a home, whereas the one with open concept kitchen feels a little bit like a service apartment, right? So given that the starting price for Lentor Gardens will be 2050 PSF, I think that should be the 2-bedders. Okay, on average, we are looking at 2,300 plus PSF, and if you can enter at 2,001 to 2,000 PSF, basically you're entering at some of the lowest prices in the whole area. Not forgetting the earlier launches, Lentor Modern, Heloc, Lentor Hills, and Lentoria, they are all non-harmonized. So you do have to take into consideration the difference in calculation, especially for the PSF. Right, so I'll take 2,300 PSF harmonized as the average and general safe entry price. If you can get anything below that, your downside risk is more or less covered. For the 646 unit, you're looking at 1.485 mil. If you average 2,300 PSF, right? For 6, 7, 8 square feet, if you can get a unit at below 1.55 mil, I think is a safe entry price, considering Lentor Modern subsale for its 2-bed 1-bath already transacted at 1.48 mil. For 2-bed 2-bath, these are the best layouts for me. Alright, for the 2-bedders, you want efficient yet practical layouts, not too big that it will push up your quantum significantly too. So Lentor Modern, you have the 732 square feet 2 plus flex. Lentor Gardens 2-bed 2-bath plus store, or the one with the study, at 689 as well as 732 square feet. And interestingly, Lentor Mansion, which overall I feel is the best development in this area, doesn't have a 2 plus study. So at least you don't need to go head to head with one of the strongest developments in this area, which is just right next to you. Lentor Modern already transacted their subsale at 1.8 to 1.9 mil for that 732 square feet unit, right? A walk-away price of 2,300 PSF, that puts you at only 1.59 mil for the 689 square feet and 1.68 mil for the slightly bigger 732 square feet unit. Now, the cheapest 2 plus study in the whole of Lentor will be, if I'm not wrong, it's 1.491 at Lentoria, but there's no tuck-in kitchen, it's non-harmonized. So overall, I think the 2-bed 2-bath plus store or study units in Lentor Gardens are my top picks. I think they make the unit very much livable, even for small families or dinkwets. That extra store and that sizable study, if you go and see a show flat, it is very useful. It makes the place very much more livable. Moving on to 3 compact, it's a little harder to compare across here because there's 3 plus study, there's 3 plus flexi, a bit of a hybrid between a 3 compact and a 3 premium. Well, it's as basic as it can get for a 3 compact, and I would actually prefer if there was a designated dining area, not one that extends from the kitchen counter. It's like when you are dining, you are blocking the person who's going in and out of the kitchen. But nonetheless, at 2,300 PSF, you are looking at around 2 mil. And if you can get anything below 2 mil, I believe it's really not easy to get a 3 compact new launch at this price anymore. And it is still a good price to enter, I feel. Moving forward in 2027, you won't be getting 3-bedders at less than 2 mil anymore. And I believe this 936 square feet 3 plus study at Lentor Gardens will sell very well. For those with a slightly tighter budget but still looking for a more comfortable 3-bedder, that additional study will be very useful as a store, a helper's room, and a relatively safe price to enter will be 2.2 mil and below. Now, my top 2 layouts in this area has to be the one at Lentor Mansion. 861 square feet, 3 plus flex, really compact, efficient, making it very functional, 3-bedder yet keeping the quantum low. Lentor Modern's 969 square feet, 3 plus flex is not bad because it has a window for the flexi room and the study. The flexi room or the study has a window, but still the kitchen's a little bit small. Do note that this 3 plus flexi at Lentor Modern is already transacting at 2.2 to 2.4 plus mil. So I believe the prices I mentioned above, you are good to go. Next, we have the 3 Premium at 1001 square feet at Lentor Gardens. Nothing special, I'll say, but it has whatever it needs to have for a 3 Premium. You have your store or bomb shelter, you have your yard area, you have your WC. You land a unit at 2.3 mil, which is average 2,300 PSF and below. I believe it's a good entry price. Which one is the best premium layout in this whole area? I think this one is a little bit hard to choose, but what I look out for is one that's able to provide you all you need for a 3 Premium at as close to 1,000 square feet as possible to give you the most bang for buck, which I think the harmonized layouts at Lentor Gardens, Lentor Central, Lentor Mansion, they have all done well. And by the way, your benchmark prices for 3 Premium in the sub-sale market at Lentor Modern has already transacted 2.6 to 2.8 mil. So entering at even 2.4 mil, 2,400 PSF, a little bit higher than what I would like. With a 5 to 7 year exit plan, that should give you pretty good upside potential. Now, a 4 compact at Lentor Gardens, again, functional but nothing to shout about here. 1184 square feet. If you can get it at 2.65 to around 2.7 mil and below, I think it is reasonable. Very strong competitor in terms of layout and price, I feel will be Lentor Central Residences. When the Lentor Central unit, I think it transacted, the cheapest one, of course the low floor unit, transacted 2.368 mil, 4 compact, and honestly it's hard to beat this, so be careful with your entry price. Nevertheless, for 4 and 5 bedders in the resale market, I'll say within this Lentor area, 5 bedder you only have it at Lentor Mansion. Right, you don't really have much competition because most people who are buying here, the large units, is for own stay, not so much for flipping. So I believe that as long as you don't go beyond the average prices in the area, you'll be fine. You have the 4 Premium 1356 square feet. You have the luxury of both landscape and portrait layout in the living room, so you can shift play around with your dining area. Very comfortable size. There's both master and junior master here. I do believe it's quite comparable with Lentor Central, which to me has one of the best 4 Premium layouts in this area. Lentor Central's 1399 square feet. Walkaway price for the 4-bed Premium, I believe starting PSF will be slightly higher, of course, for the bigger units. So again, try not to go beyond 2350, 2400 PSF, which puts you around 3.2 mil. Of course, if you're lucky, your ballot number is good. Best if you can get it at flat 3 mil, 3.1. So there's no 4 compact at Lentor Modern, and the 4 Premium there is pretty massive, 1528 square feet. So not a super fair comparison, but it has already hit 3.5 mil, by the way. And the cheapest entry back then, like during launch, was 2.89 mil. So if you think about it, people coming into this area, if they want large units, then they go for Lentor Modern. They won't look at the rest. And then those who are more price sensitive, then the harmonized layouts will probably make more sense for them, where you get a slightly smaller 4-bedder that's essentially very functional but much more palatable in terms of entry price. Finally, let's talk about exit strategy, and again, let's address the issue of oversupply, which is important for your exit. Now, what we do need to understand is that when Lentor Gardens reaches TOP, not every owner in Lentor will be trying to sell at the same time. These are 2 things to take note of. Firstly, the earlier plots were already sold in 2022 to 2025, and those were subjected to the 3-year seller stamp duty. Let's look at the timeline. Lentor Modern has already reached TOP, of course, and has quite decent sub-sale transactions. The bulk of units that will be reaching TOP will be end of this year till 2028. So you have Hillock Green, which is likely going to TOP towards the end of this year. Then you have Lentor Hills, Lentoria, Lentor Mansion, and Lentor Central. All these will TOP from 2027 to 2028. By the time Lentor Gardens reaches TOP, not forgetting the SSD is now 4 years, so you'll only be selling in 2030 or 2031. By then, many owners from the earlier projects who wanted to exit would have already exited. The first wave of sellers, which consists mainly of your investors, will already have established benchmark prices for you in the entire estate. So when Lentor Gardens owners eventually sell, they are not competing with every single project simultaneously. They'll mainly be competing against other owners within their own development. And that's why choosing the correct layout and knowing your target entry price and walkaway price is really important. Because if you buy a poor layout at the wrong price, even in an area of low supply, you will also struggle to sell. So if you'd like a copy of the ebook with the full layouts for Lentor Gardens and my recommended walkaway prices for the different unit types, do drop me a message. You can WhatsApp me at 9793-7906. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel for more real estate content.